Okay. Okay, so just want to say that I started this company in 2003 in Singapore. And today is very interesting, right? I was at this conference and the finance minister was telling me, you guys must invest in Indonesia because Indonesia is a booming market. And I want to say that, not today, 10 years ago, I was already invested in Indonesia. And interestingly, today, Bapak Teo Sutato was saying, we need more collaboration, right, between Singapore and Indonesia. So we have this TechX program, where people from Indonesia go to Singapore and people from Singapore come to Indonesia. I think I started the TechX program without government funding 10 years ago. Yeah. So right now for Xtremax, we have 100 people around there in Singapore, but over 200 people here in Bandung, Indonesia. And the reason is very simple. A lot of people here ask me when today I shake hands with everybody and say, I got 200 over people in Bandung. They ask me, why Bandung? Why Bandung? Even today, finance minister say, invest in Jakarta, right? I say, why Bandung? Yeah, of course, the reason is that because there's a lot of great universities, right? A lot of good universities. And when we are talking about tech talent, great universities are important. I love the ITB and a lot of great universities in Bandung. And these are all the universities. And that has really allowed us, right, to actually create and develop a lot of large government scale projects in Singapore. Xtremax, we actually developed the government commercial cloud that runs over 80% of the government workloads right now in Singapore. Not just that, we have also this content website platform that use cloud-native technology that powers over 500 websites. But today we are talking about artificial intelligence. Cloud is one thing, but AI is a real hot thing right now. And AI is a very broad space, right? There is machine learning, deep learning. But today I want to focus on just a small part of it, which is called the Generative AI. And why so? Because ChatGPT is very popular, right? And why ChatGPT is popular? Because it is very, very clever. ChatGPT, orang yang pintar. Okay. So I was attending this lecture by the NTU, right? And they had this very interesting slide that says that, they want to test this ChatGPT. They asked them a question. 2 plus 5 equals 7. Is it correct? One of them says, my husband says it's 8. 2 plus 5, husband says it's 8. ChatGPT correct them and say, no. 2 plus 5 equals 7. It is not 8. However, when they insert a statement here that says, my wife is always right, ChatGPT also scared of the wife. Also scared. If your wife says 2 plus 7 is 8, then it must be 8. That's from there I know ChatGPT very clever, because they know that the wife is always right. Saya, not as clever as ChatGPT. I took 10 years to learn this lesson. Now at 48 with a lot of white hair, saya mengerti this principle. Wife is always right. But not just that, seriously. I mean, factually speaking, right, ChatGPT is so clever. GenAI, they are saying that, hey, you know what, let us measure something called GDP val. GDP val is really, they go and say, these are all the jobs, these are all the occupations, right? 44 occupations from all the top 9 industries and all these thousands of specialized tasks. Can ChatGPT do better than humans? That's the question they ask. Last year, September 25, 2025, not as good. What does this chart mean really is this, right? Percentage of time, ChatGPT is smarter than human. Till last year, it is less than 50%. So what it means that more than 50% of the time, humans, professionals are cleverer than ChatGPT. But today, with ChatGPT 5.2 Pro in December 11, 2025, you will realize that it has passed the 50%. Now, what this really means is that with the right model, they answer the question better than trained professionals. Now, that is scary, right? That is scary. You know, people that spend years learning stuff, right? And now, ChatGPT is so clever. Now, with this, right, what happens? You know, a lot of companies start deploying AI solution. You can get really clever technology to do a lot of our work. That results in massive cost savings, massive productivity. But the reality is that as we start working on this, we realize that it is not so simple. Because for ChatGPT, for GenAI, we have a long tail problem. That means that you can tune a technology to work for 80% of the time. But you know they hallucinate. The last 5-10%, it gets really difficult. It's easy to achieve 90% accuracy. You know, kind of works. But when you are talking about enterprise, you need a much higher level of accuracy. We call this the long tail effect of AI. Yes, you can get accuracy, but the last part becomes really, really difficult. Let me break it down a little bit, right? You know, what is this GenAI, when people are writing solutions for GenAI, what does it really involve? Let me say simplistically, for a lot of GenAI applications, it's really just these three parts. You got to choose a model. Pick a model. You got to do a lot of prompt engineering. You got to have a knowledge base so that it can learn from this knowledge base. These are the three things we tune again and again. And that is why just by doing these three things, you can get 80%. And what really happens in a real implementation is that a user will try it and say, alamak, bapak, not working. And they pass to the developer, and the developer will tune a little bit, pass back to the user try a bit again, and this long tail effect keep coming again and again. And that is why it's so difficult to get great automation with GenAI. And that is why we started thinking, how do we solve this problem? So that we can iterate and roll out GenAI applications a lot faster. Now, this is a picture of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Just curious, in Indonesia, you all got watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or not? This is a Roald Dahl book. I see a few have. Great. So let me explain a little bit of what it really means. So this is the guy, you know, it's the Willy Wonka. He started making chocolates. And one day, right, he just didn't want to work with people. He closed down the factory. No chocolates for a while. Mysteriously, over some time, suddenly the factory came alive again and started creating chocolates. And what really happened was that there were these things called Oompa Loompas, right, in the chocolate factory making chocolates. And that is what we thought, hey, imagine that we can run the entire organization with Oompa Loompas. That is the origin of what we call ChocolateFactory.ai. It's our idea of how we can iterate AI in a faster and better way. Let me explain a little bit. We believe that the world, in fact, in the future, all organizations will be a hybrid organization of not just humans, but humans and agents. So this is the Oompa Loompa, and imagine we can start feeding it information. Let me share with you what really happens with a simple demo, and I hope it works. Okay. So this is the chocolate factory. This looks like our Oompa Loompa. Yeah. And what it does is that, imagine there is this document, and we purposely make it in Chinese. I'm also not very good in Chinese. I don't understand it. This document is about AI, it's got a lot of interesting technology here. And what happens is that we want to let the agent understand this document. It goes into our chocolate factory to create a knowledge base. It updates it, and straight away it's in our knowledge base already. The platform handles all the processing in the behind so that the agent can access this knowledge base. And down, it creates an AI agent. The name is Seminar Assistant Agent. And what you see over here is that you can start defining its prompt. You can choose its model. You can write its prompt. And this is the part that is very painful, right? Because we need to configure the prompt, configure the model so that you get it correct. Now you can do it in a self-service manner. And straight away, right here, you can ask questions like, who is the presenter of this seminar? It reads the knowledge base and it tells the answer. Even though the original material was in Chinese, it could still answer everything in English. So you can see what we have just shown is an agent deployed in a self-service manner. No developer involved, just fine-tuning of a knowledge base, a prompt, and a model. And a simple use case is that, there's a lot of knowledge in the organization. A lot of people will start asking HR or a lot of people, hey, what are the policies? Right now, we have agents to be able to do that job. But that is not all, really. What this means is that right now, AI is self-service. When the user sees a problem, when the HR person sees that response not so correct, they can tune the model and the knowledge base themselves. But that is not all, really. As humans, we can only read documents. But the AI agents are smarter. They talk through APIs. They can talk directly to the system's API and database. Let me share with you. Let's configure an agent with tools. So maybe this agent will be able to read live data sources from our database. What you see here is a customer database. Now, it's very difficult for humans to read this and understand what's happening. But when it's connected to our agent, when it's exposed to API, that's where magic happens. We add a tool. We connect it to our CRM customer database. We set up a connection of the tool, and straight away, this agent is able to access our data. Again, we give the agent a name, configure a role. Again, we select the model. We also set the context prompt. Things that continually we need to fine-tune. Right now, is done in a self-service manner. We add more tools. We say that, hey, maybe you need to render charts. So just by a few clicks, we give the agent more abilities. Now the agent is configured. Let's start using it. We say, show daily subscriptions from May 2022. Now, for a human, it is really difficult because they don't read databases, right? But for the agent, not a problem. They go straight in and they get answers. And next they say, give me some visualization, show in a bar chart. And straight away, by connecting to the databases, they are able to do charts and visualizations. They can even ask very specific questions like, who is subscribed on May 17? And they are able to talk directly to APIs and get all the necessary answers. So we configure an agent, we give it tools, and let it reason with live business data. Now, what this means is that a lot of things can be automated. There are companies that we speak to, insurance companies, banks, they have people like data analysts, and they are flooded with report requests. They need to talk to these data analysts, and data analysts need to create reports to get back to their users. What it means right now is that all the stakeholders can talk to an agent, and this agent will be able to generate all the necessary charts, necessary report, necessary tables. It becomes a self-service concept. Other use cases that we have seen are things like recommendations. So we have customers with a lot of customer database profiles, and they have another set of products that they need to push or recommend to these customers. Now, with an agentic platform, all you need to define is what products tailor to what sort of customers. And ChocolateFactory.ai will be able to make the recommendations for you. But that is not all, right? So this guy is very smart. He can read knowledge database. He can also interact with systems to get data. But that is not all. We arm them with tools, and they can start doing real work. So imagine we need to do proposals, right? And here's the agent that can help us do proposals. So in our company, we are working on this particular tender, right? It's a student portfolio app. We push in all the documents of the proposals so that we know all the requirements here, right? We create a proposal agent that has access to this particular knowledge database. Same knowledge that we have shown earlier, this knowledge database. But the difference right here is that we give it a different tool set. We say that, hey, you know what? You can connect to Atlassian, a wiki that we have. From here, we can start a conversation like, what is the project you are working on right now? And they are able to, generate all the necessary details. And from here, not just that, they will be able to interact the wiki and push out all these requirements into the wiki page itself, right? They need testimonials. And so now they are talking and they are pulling testimonials from yet another system. Yeah. And last but not least, they are pushing this into a wiki and a proposal. So what you see right here is an agent able to read information and do all the work that a white-collar worker actually work on. Yeah. It's creating Confluence pages here on the wiki. And you can see everything has been created by an agentic platform. No humans at all, just chatting, just working with AI agents. But that is not all really, because agents do not just work in a chat-based interface. We can actually embed agents into applications itself. And straight away, then it becomes an AI-enabled application. Imagine we can have the same agent, not appearing in a chat interface, but appearing in your, maybe a travel website. And straight away, a bit of imagination, the exact same interface will appear here, and you will be able to ask all the questions. The same capabilities you have seen earlier can be embedded into real application systems. So what we feel is this, that, the workforce of the future will be hybrid. And the way to solve this last mile problem, to expedite AI delivery, to expedite AI rollout, is basically a self-service agentic platform. And for that, we have ChocolateFactory.ai.